I wasn't really sure what to talk about this evening, so I thought I'd just share the story that we've gone through when developing Tec Marina, which is a building in Penarth Marina. And yes, it's not the rural vale, as Hannah said, but literally you could pick this up and put it in the rural vale. And yes, I would work in the rural vale. I don't like driving to Penarth in the mornings. You know, that's a waste of 30 minutes of my life. So if you can be in an environment which is the right environment in which you want to work, and it's very close, you know, it's going to be attractive to people. So people do want these type of co-working spaces, or just offices if you're not interested in the sort of co-working business. But if I maybe explain why we did this, hopefully I'm going to do this in reverse. I'm going to go to the last page, and I'm not going to start selling you my products. But if I was to go back 3 years ago, people call me a serial entrepreneur in Wales. It sounds like a disease, but I enjoy setting up companies. Some work, some don't, some grow, and others fail. And 3 years ago, I had 3 different companies. One was dealing with brainstorming software, iMindMap, sold all over the world, millions of users. It's been a really exciting product to work with. Another company, DropTask. That's a productivity tool. It's all about getting things done. And then we had a third organisation. These are 2 of my books. If you're bored or you can't sleep, you can get those at Amazon. And we set up a training organisation because, as you can tell, the 2 software companies that I had were to do with creativity, brainstorming, productivity. So we thought, well, there's one thing selling the software, but actually let's create a training organisation to help people understand how to be more creative and how to turn creativity into a process. So that's resulted in us having over 1,000 facilitators around the world that work with everyone from royal families to people in education, just to help them become more creative. So 3 years ago, I was in Regis in Falcon Drive in Cardiff Bay. We actually liked being in Regis, but it didn't seem like the right fit for us. We weren't being congruent because we were going around the world telling people how to be more efficient, what type of work environments they should be in, and we weren't in that environment. So we had to decide, okay, well, what do we do? So the first thing I did is engage PwC just to ascertain, should we be where we are, i.e. should we be in Wales, should we be in Cardiff, in the Vale? 85% of our business is overseas, and had the report back, and actually no, we shouldn't be in the UK, we should be in a tax-free zone, let's say like Dubai or somewhere like that, and you start weighing out, oh, whether in Dubai, whether in Wales, but actually, yeah, we wanted to stay in Wales. I love Wales. I can't see us ever taking the company outside of Wales, or the companies outside of Wales, and it's something that we're particularly motivated by, is trying to create something big in the tech field in Wales. And recently, we were the first Welsh company ever to be selected to go onto the London Stock Exchange Accelerator Programme, so they're now helping us do that as well. So this is where we were 3 years ago. So we started doing a trawl of where else can we base ourselves in this local area. And we just couldn't find anywhere. There was just nothing that would fit in with what we were looking for. And it's very much what Sally's been talking to you about and what Gavin's been talking to you about. It's those sorts of environments. I don't need to explain them because Sally and Gavin have done that very well. So we ended up in this position where our only opportunity was to look for a building that we could develop ourselves. I pitched this to the board and my shareholders, and as you can imagine, they said, Chris, no, you're not a property developer. If you do this will just distract you from your main business. No, just go out and find a nice building and paint it and make it look nice. I ignored what they said, and they were right. It did distract me from the business. I wouldn't change it, and I'll explain why I wouldn't change it a little bit later on. When we first found Tec Marina, this is essentially all it was. It was a big, empty warehouse. I remember going and having a look at it the first time and thinking, absolutely no way. There is no way on earth that we want to get involved with a project to try and convert something like this. But luckily I've got some very good friends, and they put me in touch with the architect of this building, because it was still a relatively young building. And I would recommend this to all of you that are thinking about converting a building, or trying to find a building to convert. Don't judge it on what you can see. Get somebody in that can show you what it could look like. Martin Heyman, who was the architect, he very quickly created some 3D drawings of what Tec Marina could look like based on our brief. And we were just blown away. We got it, we could see it. We thought, okay, right, we'll do it. So we bought the building. We were very fortunate to pick up this building from Receivers. The company that was there previously had got into financial difficulty. But it was a big building and it was a big project, so it was a really expensive project to convert, especially doing it the way that we wanted it. So we really went from this to this in a period of I'd say the first offices were ready about 12 months after we bought the building. Just in terms of working with planners, we didn't find any issue working with the planners whatsoever. If you've got a project that is going to be good for the Vale, they will do everything they can to help you make that project happen, and that's what we found. So we didn't have any delays from that perspective. Now, Tec Marina is a strange conversion, because if we were doing Tec Marina to make money from office rentals, co-working space, you wouldn't do it the way we've done it. More than 33% of the building is just open space. But that was something that I wanted. And you've got to remember, Tec Marina was done first and foremost for self-serving purposes. I wanted an environment which would be stimulating for my team. And I think that's a key point to any conversion that you do, is understanding, well, why do you do it? Well, we've seen the change. It's so much easier for us to recruit people. They walk into that building and you can see, wow, it's different. It looks like a slice of Silicon Valley in Penarth. And I think if you can recruit people, that means you can retain people because of the environment. You just can't underestimate the value of an environment. People take less sick days because they feel good about themselves working in such an environment. If you were to look at the research that was coming out of, let's say, Harvard Business Review, when they investigated, well, what's the impact of having a sort of a happy workplace like this? It's incredible. You get 32% more productivity, you get 37% more creativity, and most importantly, from a business perspective, 37% more profitability when people are in a happy working environment. And as Sally alluded to, times have changed. Millennials they're not just driven by money anymore. You know, they want a lifestyle. They want to be able to live and work in a way that fits in with their sort of values. And it's very different. People do not want to be in a rabbit warren in a box. One of our briefs with the architect was, I didn't want anyone going into a corridor when they left their office. And as you can see, it's a very open space. As Gavin said, lots of glass, because that opens everything out. With us, we're mainly office space rather than co-working space. We do have a small section for co-workers, and this is something that again, you might want to consider. Gavin is absolutely right. We've got 200 people in here, of which roughly 10% would be co-working. That 10% takes more work than the 90% that are just renting offices from us. Because, you know, co-working space does take a lot of input. You do have to create the community, build the community, work with the community. It is fun because you meet some incredible people. Obviously, if you were to just convert a building into office space, but have open spaces to go with it that everyone could share communally, that's less onerous on you. It will take longer to fill it. Although I would say with Tec Marina, as soon as we completed an office, it was going. So, you know, there's definitely a demand, there's no doubt. And, you know, if I were to look at some of the objections to Tec Marina, some people, yes, they want to be in the centre of Cardiff, and even Penarth is too far away from them. Well, that's fine. A lot of people, that's just not important to them. It's the environment that they're in that's important to them. When I talk about innovation, I often say to people, well, you know, when you're trying to solve a problem, you know, would you be better placed to do it wearing your pajamas or your business suit? And of course, if you're comfortable and you're relaxed, you're more likely to be efficient and productive, which is what we've tried to achieve with Tec Marina. Having things like games rooms, it might seem gimmicky, but games rooms are important. Sometimes when we're brainstorming, we find that the creative ideas come from when we relax, playing table tennis or playing snooker or foosball or ice hockey, air hockey, sorry, not ice hockey. We haven't got an ice hockey ring. So, you know, we wanted to make it quirky. Because we're in Tec Marina, we put a boat in there. That boat's nearly 100 years old. We built a boathouse, which is our meeting rooms at the back of the building. So it was all about making it a little bit more quirky than a normal building. Also making it a live-work type of building. So the gym that we put in, I remember having the conversations with the contractors. Chris, don't put a gym in there. No one will use the gym. They'll use it for a little bit, and they won't. But my feeling was, if you put a good gym in, yes, they will use it all the time, and they do. So we've got 5-star shower, 5-star changing rooms. We've got a really good gym, which especially at this time of year is really busy, as you can imagine. First and foremost, the building was for my companies. We were never going to need 22,000 square feet ourselves, so we thought we'd open it up to other sort of high growth type of companies in Wales. So it's something that I'm definitely glad that we did. It was a nice touch recently when the architect that designed this with us actually took an office in the building, which I thought was quite nice, so he can showcase his own work. But Martin was brilliant. In terms of the conversion work, we got people in locally. Like I said, I was as green as they come when it comes to doing conversions. So I just took recommendations. I would say there was two firms from Barry and one firm from Cardiff that did all of the work. Yes, we went out to the bigger companies to get quotes from them. But it wasn't necessary. You didn't need to spend what they wanted to do all in one packages. There are people here in this area that can do it for you. Internet is an issue. If you're going to create a space like this and you haven't got good internet, forget it. Just forget it. You know, I live just outside of Barry. We struggle to get 2 megabits per second, and I think this is archaic. Some of my Polish team, they have over a gigabit coming into their home. Now we've got a gigabit coming into Tec Marina, and we've got 2 pipes coming in for resilience. I don't think you need to go that far when you're doing it, but just don't underestimate the cost of the internet. Just make sure that, you know, what you've got would be what the market demands, because if you haven't got it, it's a non-starter. Would I do more of this type of thing in the Vale if interesting properties came up? Yeah, absolutely. I'd love doing it. I love the building. When I go into it in the morning, it feels special. It does. I like it. It makes me feel good. And you know, you can't underestimate what that means to people that work there. And anyone that's in business will always say to you, well, you know, it's the people that are the most important thing in your business, and yet then they stick them in a cardboard pokey box somewhere, and it's not right. It's not right. So yeah, definitely, if you're thinking of doing it, go for it.